Welcome in everybody to the Laying It Down podcast, where we talk about everything going on in the wrestling world. We bring on wrestlers, content creators, and everything in between. Tonight we have the one and only Big John. Welcome in, my friend.
Let's go.
Welcome in, Big John. For those that don't know who Big John is, Big John, and he's going to go over this in the podcast, so I'll let him have the floor in a little bit, but he is a rehabilitation specialist who specializes in helping out professional wrestlers and many other people with physical therapy and just helping them be on the right track with their bodies as life goes on for them. I've known you for about a good year or so, right? Like, it's been a while, but I don't remember.
It's been a while.
Like, I think we followed each other. Like, I don't think it was Twitch, right? Was it like was it like a specific TikTok or something?
I you on TikTok. Yeah, you just popped on my For You page.
I think that was like at the beginning of it too. I feel like we had so much traction at the beginning of our video creation journey and everything like that, that we just met so many different people, such as yourself and many other people that we know from Twitch, that it's been nice to get to know you guys. And this is really cool that I've gotten to finally sit down with you one-on-one, because I don't think we ever had that interaction before, right? Like
No, we never did. And also the fact that you are in US, I'm in the UK, so the time difference plays a role into it as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, here we are. We're doing it. We are shitting it. Let's see how it goes.
And I've been fortunate enough to be able to see your journey with Big John Rehab. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit very shortly. And I've been able to see how it is today based on when you just started. And for everybody watching or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you'll be able to check out Big John's links down in the description below of wherever you're watching or listening. For everybody here, make sure you guys are checking out the JLD merchandise. We got new OTC t-shirts, we got water bottles, we got hats, we got jackets. It is fall time currently, so make sure you guys are getting your hoodies as well. You can get all of that and many more at justlayingdown.com. I also wanted to give a big shout out to Trophysmack. They are not sponsoring this video, but I am an affiliate with them, and I figured I'd make sure I advertise to you guys what they do. For those that don't know, Trophysmack is the place for all things fantasy sports. They have appeared on Shark Tank, and they let you create customizable trophies, rings, plaques, and even championship belts, just like this one right here, and probably the one behind me also. So if you use my custom link, trophysmack.com/justlayingdown, which you can actually check out in the description below, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's like kind of right there. Not only will you be getting some of your favorite stuff for your fantasy league, but on top of that, you'll be helping us out to create more content just like this. So shout out to Trophysmack for believing in us, and let's get into the podcast. During today's episode, Big John and I will be chatting about several different topics, such as his love for professional wrestling, his career as a rehab specialist, how he's built his clientele, and what it takes to become one, his thoughts on the current WWE product, and just in general getting to know each other, because this is the first time we finally get to sit down and hang out for a little bit, besides just trolling each other nonstop on Twitch. And if anybody wants to ask any future podcast guests any questions, make sure you're following us on social media. So that way you know when the guests are coming on and you can ask your questions there. And without further ado, Big John, welcome in. How are you doing today?
I'm really well, JLD. I'm really well. A bit tired, working, like you said, content creation, seeing patients. It pays a toll. It's quite tiring, but it's amazing what you can achieve when you put a bit of work into it, and when you dedicate your, let's say, spare time, but it can become a bit more than just the spare time. But yeah.
Absolutely. And like, listen, everybody listening, the grind never stops. We're going to have our days where we're tired, our bodies hurt, we're sleepy. I'd rather just deal with this tomorrow. No, the grind has to be now, because you're going to thank yourself later down the line when you're even more successful than you are today. Always think of it as the next day is going to be a more positive day. So without further ado, Big John, again, for everybody watching, make sure you go follow him on TikTok, Instagram. All of his links will be down below, and I'll be making sure to put everything there. Without further ado, I know there is an announcement that you wanted to make for this episode about an organization that you're working with, and I'll actually give you the floor on that so you can announce what you got to announce.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So I'll take this chance to announce that I will be an official supporter of the Hot Tech Foundation. So for you to get to know a bit and get a bit of info with Hot Tech Foundation is a new non-profit organization in the UK, and is dedicated on promoting the best of pro wrestling, mainly to young people. So kids, teenagers, this is their main area of work. They are currently promoting their 12 Rumble donation drive. So basically collectibles, toys, non-wrestling stuff. They gather all these, they make boxes, they make different packages, and they send to hospitals, children ward, and they want to make the Christmas a bit more special for kids that probably they are suffering or they are in harder situations at the
Oh yeah,
moment.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to join them, and we have a collab that we are preparing for the future, but I cannot tell you too much about that right now. But yeah, for me it's amazing because the wrestling community did a lot for me, especially since I moved in the UK. I'm from Romania. I traveled from Romania here. All my friends are back home.
Okay,
So
nice.
I had no one to talk to. I had no one to, share my wrestling passion with. So the wrestling community here in UK embraced me with open hands or open arms, and I feel like I want to give back a bit of what I received from them. And working with Hot Tech Foundation will help me do that. And especially the fact that they work with kids, and in the future they have some plans, possibly putting kids in wrestling classes or not even wrestling classes. Helping kids that might have issues with their confidence. So yeah, there are loads of plans that these guys have, and their project, and I'm definitely glad that I can help to spread the word.
Dude, congratulations, that's awesome. And I can definitely, I guess whatever the word is, see what you're coming from with, like, you're coming from a new place, from Romania over to England, and you don't have that, like, you don't have anybody yet to know about with wrestling and share that passion with. I'm sure you realize very quickly that the UK, or just in general Europe, loves wrestling. They're even better even sometimes than the US crowd with how wild they get, how rowdy they get. So you went into the good crowd when it comes to like enjoying wrestling and just being a part of it. That's freaking awesome. Big John, for anybody that wants to help contribute to the Heart Tech Foundation, whether you're in the US, UK, or wherever, there's gonna be a QR code right here, and you can go check that out, scan that code, and check out how you could participate or donate or whatever, and you'll be able to help a good cause.
If you want to join or get more details, all you got to do is reach out.
Absolutely. Big John's socials will be there, so you can message him if you have any questions. I believe their account actually followed me too on Instagram, so I can actually just put that too when I get a chance. So absolutely, we'll definitely try to shout that out as much as possible. Awesome announcement. Congratulations again. There's another congratulations we need to put into this podcast, and that is that you're getting married in a few weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Congratulations. Let's go.
It is. It's gonna be the big day is coming. The big day is coming.
That's freaking awesome. And like I'm not married yet, but like eventually the plan is to get married with Mrs. JLD. So like to see you and your fiance, like out of nowhere, I remember seeing when you posted in, I think, my Twitch chat, that you were like, oh, I got engaged, and I was like, holy shit, that's freaking amazing. And then I see pictures and I'm like, dude, you're doing great things. Congratulations, and I hope nothing but the best for you too. But when is the official date?
19th of October is gonna be. It's gonna happen in Romania.
Oh yeah.
Both Romanians and our relatives and friends are there, so it made sense for us to do the wedding there.
Absolutely. That's freaking awesome, and I wish you guys nothing but the best on that wedding day and in the future.
Thank you very much.
So let's get into it. Introduce yourself to the podcast. I mean, we kind of talked a little bit, self-plugged you a little bit, but let's have you get the floor. Introduce yourself to the podcast. Who are you? Who is Big John? Where people can find you, and give us a little bit of background of who you are and the kind of content that you create on social media.
Yeah, guys. So, yeah, I'm a Big John, or by my real name, my name is Jonuts. Big John is, I'd say, my persona since I've been playing basketball. I've played basketball professionally in the past. Like any athlete, I faced injuries. I've been a bit more unlucky than others. So, by the age of 15, I faced 2 surgeries in my right shoulder, 1 in my right knee. So, I've been a bit through rehab myself.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I got introduced into this world. Not necessarily the nicest way, but it was effective enough to make me fall in love with this.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I had an amazing opportunity to work with some brilliant guys from back home, and I don't know, the environment there, the way they were talking, the way they were working together. Like I've said, it was love at first sight. Something sparked in there, and literally, I know it's not happening often, but I knew what I wanted to do since I was 15. So basically from 15 to 18, when you're supposed to go to uni, I knew this is my target, this is what I want to do. So I focused all my energy there. And had a physio degree from back home. Then I realized, because of my sports roots as well, I want to focus a bit more on sports side of things. Unfortunately, at that moment, there was no sports masters I could do in Romania. And the only other language I was speaking was English. So it made sense. Yep, it's UK.
Yeah.
And that's how I got here. I got here for my master's, finished that, and got introduced to the industry over here.
And then tying that with professional wrestling just kind of tied the knot on everything you wanted to do at that point. Just like your passion, things you love, and then other things you love. Like, don't you just love when those two things can combine together in such a flawless way?
Oh, definitely. And the fact that the wrestling thing happened by chance, it's funny because I was a fan as a kid. And when you have that teenage phase, you go into high school and everybody's like, ugh, wrestling, you're a wrestling fan. It's fake,
Yep. This
So
we all know, yeah.
Yeah, so you start to be a bit ashamed, like, I like wrestling, but I might not mention this to parties. Yeah, so I kind of fell out of the loop through high school, and then I moved here. COVID was at its highest point at the moment.
Scary time.
Netflix was finished. Watched all the series and everything.
Tiger King.
Yeah. So I might as well just have a look, see how the things are going on in the wrestling industry at the moment. And since then, I got involved again. Yeah.
In a weird way, I feel like the pandemic in a weird way actually helped wrestling, because now people are home watching it all the time. And with like Roman Reigns coming back and kind of like spearheading the whole roster or locker room with his championship, it just made it more interesting. And then once, I guess, when 2021 came back with like the crowd and everything, it just like full sail ahead. Let's kick some ass, ratings and stuff.
And I feel like the pandemic showed a different face of wrestling, and it didn't show because I don't think it was there. It came with this cinematic, because right now everybody's talking about this cinema aura.
It's yep.
And Roman Reigns with his promos, with all the work that he's done through the pandemic, I think that's what drew people in, that cinema type of vibe. The fact that the story was more clear, they had all these shots that they were drawing you in there.
And that's the beauty of the Triple H era, is they're only now experimenting with a lot of things versus like how Vince McMahon used to do a lot of things back then. I don't know if you saw Raw last night, but for the first time ever, maybe it wasn't the first time ever, maybe they did it back in the day, but they never did it as of recent. They did a little section where they showed off the crowd signs, like all these different signs that were in the crowd. They only did that for the live people. Like when the commercials were going on, they do that as like just to distract them while the commercials are going on for television. To actually have that on TV now is really freaking cool. And at least the people in the audience, watching at home, can actually enjoy that too. Like there was one from yesterday that was like, oh, I quit my job to be here. And now apparently that's going viral. Like,
and USA Network responded, they were like, yeah, I saw that one.
It's so good. So like that, the 8K camera when they're doing the championship announcements, so good.
Like Randy Orton's entrance with that 8K camera.
Perfect.
Brilliant.
Really
brilliant. Good. Like literally, even now I'm getting chills.
Doing like chills. The Rock, the slap in the wrist.
Final boss.
A final boss. I'm going to talk about The Rock in a little bit when we get to the second half of this episode. But like I said in the beginning, I've been grateful to be able to see you start off with your brand. And we're going to ask you that question now of Big John Rehab. What is Big John Rehab? And actually, one of my questions before you actually answered it was there any inspiration that you had to get into the rehabilitation / physical therapy industry? And it seems like you actually got a lot of that inspiration from you being in that industry as a patient through those shoulder surgeries and being in sport. So I guess I'll kind of intertwine them right now into what is Big John Rehab and what components from your experience in that industry are you bringing into Big John Rehab?
So basically Big John Rehab, it's very funny because all these logos and video ideas and everything, the concept itself, it was built in one night.
Some things are done that way, yeah, and it works.
Yeah, I was working with Progress Wrestling, is one of the indie promotions.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Progress.
for offering me the opportunity to work in the wrestling world and introduce me to this world as a therapist. And every year they attend and they have a show for the love of wrestling, which is a big wrestling convention in UK, usually held in Manchester. I think in the past it's been in Liverpool as well, but for the past couple of years it has been in Manchester. Here is where your community comes in, and I've been watching your work, and I was like, I do this thing which for the social media will be amazing because no one has this perspective from behind the curtain. So how could I use that for me, to put myself out there? Because basically I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking for patience. Yeah. Also I love wrestling. So I was like, how can I do this? And then I realized, is this event coming? It'll be a brilliant, way to boost the page, to start big.
Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. That's what you gotta do.
Exactly. And then I realized, okay, but how am I going to promote myself? I don't have a business, I don't have a name, I don't have a logo. So basically in one night I've stayed till morning, and I put together the logo, I put together the name, bit of the concept, and that's how Big John Rehab was born.
That's wild, man. Like, to be able to do all that, that's the drive that I feel a lot of people need if they want to see it, is just like, you take that time to make a logo and do all that. That's really cool because I'm very familiar, like I said, with Progress. Like I know a lot of wrestlers from there have come over to AEW and all that. So like I don't watch it per se, but I would say that I've heard the name plenty of times on Instagram. So just to even have that name even trust you, like in the beginning of your journey, is a freaking W. And one thing that stuck out to what you just said was that there's nobody right now that, at least that I know, that's giving that point of view as somebody in your role of a rehab specialist. Like, that's probably one of the biggest unsung heroes for the professional wrestling industry, is the people that are literally putting their hands on you to make sure these wrestlers' bodies are good to go. They take bumps every freaking day, and you're one of the reasons that they're able to do that in the ring. So major prop. It actually reminds me of, like, now I follow a lot of referees on Instagram, and you get to see their point of view, which is really cool. You now see the camera at SummerSlam. The referee had the camera, and I think
that's how wrestling changed the past couple of years. You start to see all these people in the back. Start to see their work. You start to notice them. You start to know their names.
Right.
You have people coming out on conferences and saying thank you to this person and this person from the marketing and this person from the video, and it's amazing. And most of the time, these people in the back, I'm not usually the one to speak, about salaries and money and stuff like that. But what I can say is that these people are not paid as much as you think they are. Be. And these jobs, you usually get into these jobs because of your passion and because you want to make people feel good, and it's not always about the money. So for them getting all these praises, and being recognized and acknowledged, it's an amazing thing.
Absolutely. And with the referees, it's like you see the camera now for SummerSlam. Mrs. JLD, one of her favorite refs now is Jessica Carr, who is actually now one of the first female referees to main event a WWE Championship match, like to referee it, which is a great accolade, really great accolade. We're seeing Samantha Irvin as one of the best ring announcers. People are gonna listen to that and be like, "Oh no, she's not. She sucks." Like, no, she's the freaking GOAT. That's it.
You grew up because you have Lilia Garcia there, which she's one of.
She is one of the GOATs too. You can have multiple GOATs, and she is also one of them. And then, like, backstage, you got Kathy Kelly and all of them. So like, I like how now wrestling, they're focusing not just on, like, Cody Rhodes and Roman, like obviously they still are, but like they're now putting emphasis on all the people who make up this industry, not just the performer. I think one group of people that they eventually need to start recognizing too are the people that actually disassemble and assemble the ring, because without the ring, there's no show. The AV guys, the Titantron, they're showing the fireworks guy now. They're showing the fireworks guy on Instagram with the Cody Rhodes button. So that's really cool to see also. I love how they're showing all the behind the scenes of things. And it's almost like those shows where they show like, oh, and this is where the director is, and this is where the producer is, and all that. So like, really big props to WWE for going above and beyond. And as an AV person, IT guy, it makes me realize how actually demanding that job is when full-on productions are going on. Like, I have it easy with like one little speaker, camera, laptop. Nah, they got cables galore and stereos and all that. And if it ain't perfect, someone's getting fired.
And what I'm always emphasizing to when I'm speaking to people and they talk about wrestling and they say, oh, it's fake. And I tell them, oh, do you enjoy watching Marvel? Yeah, of course, Iron Man, my favorite, Okay, so now imagine that all that Marvel movie, all that Iron Man movie is going live in front of you. And there
It
is no
never
room
happened
for
in their
mistake.
life. They think Spider-Man is actually saving Astoria, Queens, New York, like from the bad guys, and the NYPD ain't doing nothing. Really think that's all happening. And then there was a video I saw with Chris Van Vliet, and he was defending like wrestling against some dickhead, I forgot who it was, and he basically said like, yeah, just, you don't really know the outcome of the movies either sometimes, but you're still in there to enjoy the ending no matter what. You don't know what's going to lead up to that, even if you do know what's going to happen. Like obviously, like in a Superman movie, Superman saves the day, Spider-Man saves the day, blah blah blah. But in like Spider-Man Far From Home, there's still a sequel to it, and that's what you are enjoying the ride on. Big John Rehab, guys, for anybody that's in the UK area that is a professional wrestler, AEW if you're watching this, WWE if you ever watch this for some reason, go get my guy Big John. Sometimes I need to move my hand around because I'm like on the OBS, but yeah, go follow Big John, and y'all need to go get him for your WWE and AEW or TNA superstars and all that. And I believe you've reached out to a few of those companies, right? But
Yeah.
like I know it gets either they see it or like they have you like as like okay, we'll hit you up if we need you or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's usually the answer. But one of my pillars of this company, I want to be the idea of becoming undeniable. My mission right now is to become undeniable, and for them to be like they hear about Big John Rehab from every corner. Like you go around the corner, is Big John Rehab. You hear about these talents talking, is Big John Rehab. Who the hell is this guy? We need to meet him.
That's what the goal is, and that's why everybody says like when it comes to content, be everywhere, post everywhere, and you're doing good with that. I like your types of wrestlers you meet at shows, like keep up with that, because like eventually you're gonna get a clientele that's gonna ring a bell to somebody, and they're gonna be like, oh shit, like they're gonna ask them how was the experience, and then based on their experience, as long as you give them good customer service, they're good.
Yeah, I can't praise the guys that you've seen in the videos till now enough. They were always open and enjoying doing those videos. And actually, some of those videos, the script was not that. They were like, you know what, we can do this, which will fit more with my character. Or it's amazing working with the wrestlers. It's for me working in wrestling industry now, the most amazing moment from where I work usually, you kind of can see the entrance area and the gorilla position. So you see them in the gorilla, go through that curtain, and in a split second, someone else is there.
Yes, it's all they know how to just go like smile to like let's kick ass.
Yeah. And for me, I think that's the most amazing and mind blowing thing. Watching that, because you can like literally it's just a line. They go through a door, and it kicks in.
And they've been doing that for years, so they know how to flip that switch almost immediately. And we see a lot of wrestlers in whatever show you watch these days. You'll be surprised how many are actually really, really nice in person, even though they're probably the biggest heels. And then unfortunately, vice versa. Unfortunately, sometimes where they're the nicest person, the biggest baby face, and then they're just jerks in real life. So you can't even judge by like by the look.
I've been working with them for about 2 years now, and I've never had a bad encounter with any of the wrestlers.
That's good.
And I think that's because they hold a certain respect for people working in the therapy section, physios, chiropractors, because we are there to help them. We are there to keep them healthy.
Yeah.
And I think another factor is the fact that I'm 6'7" and 300 pounds.
Yeah, they see this big jack dude and they're like, yo, I'm in good hands. Like he know what he's doing. Maybe I think one, you know what? I'm not even gonna say maybe. Eventually one day I'm gonna be reacting to Friday Night SmackDown, and you know those segments where like maybe Nia Jax assaulted Zelina Vega or something, and they have backstage where she's in the doctors with the ice pack. You're gonna be that guy. Watch, you're gonna be that guy giving her the ice pack on TV.
Get me for that.
And it'll be so freaking awesome. I'm gonna be like, yo, wait, I know this freaking guy. And this happened already with, I don't know if you follow Mr. Know Your Wrestling. He ended up on SmackDown with that whole Carmelo Hayes and Andrade thing. I was like on the floor. I was like, what? Because I didn't know he was going to be on it. So I hope the same happens to you.
Reaction. I was like, wait a sec. Is that no. It's him.
It was him. Yeah, I had to go back and look at the clip. I was like, hello. And then yeah, it was him. But I hope to see you there as well. And the way you're going, I can see that being a thing. Just don't stop, advertise yourself, and even if you got to reach out to those big companies, don't be intimidated by them. Just do it, because you never know, you might get that email back. Yeah, we're in Manchester, let's go.
The worst thing that can happen is to get a no, and
Exactly,
I feel
yeah.
like nowadays that's what people are afraid of, getting a no. A no, it's a no, it's a word. Literally just a word. It's not the finish of your career. It's
Yeah,
not
it doesn't mean you suck. It doesn't mean you're trash. It just means that, work on yourself a little bit, or maybe they just can't. Maybe there's a reason. It doesn't mean they just don't like you. There's probably somebody they book. Maybe there's a company they go to for that stuff already, but they'll still remember that you messaged them.
There are loads of reasons in the back. Imagine that these guys, they are making millions of dollars, and sometimes maybe getting someone that's maybe an unknown therapist or unknown doctor, to work with your guys. I mean, I'll be a bit skeptical myself, like, because if I mess up Cody Rhodes,
Yeah, he gonna lose the belt.
there,
Big John cost Cody Rhodes the belt.
Yeah, and trust me, I don't have minions to pay them back for that.
Yeah, exactly. But I like to say, especially now recently, I've been liking to say that losses or rejections don't mean you lost. It means that it's a work in progress and you're gonna get something better in the future. And if you want to even incorporate it into wrestling, Roman Reigns lost at WrestleMania 40, the biggest title in the game. This man came out to pops and cheering. They didn't boo him. They didn't forget about him. He was cheered on like crazy. And that's because of him. Him, his, I guess, aura, everything. As long as you're building yourself and your content or whatever you got to do, people are going to know who you are and they're going to love
you. Yeah, you got to make yourself undeniable.
The undeniable Big John. So obviously, as we've mentioned, you focus on professional wrestlers, and that's who you mostly work with on your social media. You're posting about them all the time, and I've seen a lot of them, and they really love your treatments.
For me, when someone comes through my door, I don't look at their name, I don't look on their jobs, I don't know. For me, it's a patient in front of me, so I can't say that I have special patients or people that I treat different just because they are who they are. Okay. Let's say, as an emotional moment for me was actually working with Rhino actually this year, for the love of wrestling. And that's just because, like I've mentioned earlier, coming from Eastern Europe, we don't get these kind of conventions. In Romania, we only had one WWE show and they never came back around there. So being there in front of me is Rhino, a guy that was watching me 8 years old, putting his trust in me and taking care of his body was one of those, like,
yeah, you're fanboying a little bit, but you got work to do.
Yeah. On the outside, I was all professional, and I was like, yeah, but the inside, I was like, Yeah. Another thing, after the treatment, he told me, like, mate, you should definitely get in contact with WWE because you're doing an amazing work. And in that second, it's that moment when someone like that tells you those words, and you feel like, all these years that I've put the work in, and going through school and going with late hours, they were not for nothing.
Hard work pays off, even if it's for free at the moment. Like later down the line, you're gonna realize you get that in future. That's awesome that even Rhino, a veteran of ECW, TNA, WWE, is just saying that to you. That's freaking cool, and that should be a definite motivator for whether you or anybody watching that wants to get into whatever industry you want. When you get some kind of endorsement like that, even if he says it just to say it, it's meaningful. And I'm happy for you on that. I also know you worked with Joe Hendry before. In the description, in the comments, do you believe in Joe Hendry? Put it down below.
Believe in Joe Hendry. No, he was a super nice guy. Yeah, I've actually proposed to him, to be in one of my type of wrestlers that you meet that shows videos.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he had to decline for contract reasons.
Yeah, legal reasons.
So I found out, once you reach a certain level, you hit these kind of issues. You have contracts signed, you need things pre-approved. See, it's something that you learn when you get up there. You don't know about it. A no is not no, you're not good enough.
It's legal reasons.
So it's legal reasons. Again, consider other factors. Don't take it personal all the time. It's really important. But he agreed to take a picture with me, which I'm glad he did that. And like I've said, he was super nice, very respectful. He really appreciate, because what happened, so because obviously he was the attraction of the show in that night.
Yeah.
And he had to stay a bit late on the merch table. It was quite a big queue there. The show was done, and he told me, you know, oh, if you could wait, that'll be amazing. I said, yeah, no worries, no worries. And then he was a bit more late, and he came back. He said, oh, you know, if you need to go, you can go out. I told him, no, Joe is fine. Like, I'm gonna grab a drink or something around here, and whenever you're ready, just let me know. And at the end, he appreciated it a lot.
Dude, that shows the dedication. Like, even when I've spoken to like professional wrestlers in the past, they always say that try to be the first person in and the last person out when it comes to helping out with any kind of show, whether you're helping out with the ring or helping to set up or setting up the merch table for people, whatever. It goes a long way because promoters see that, executives see that. If like you're going up to that level, people notice it and they'll see you as a reliable person. So even just like that nice gesture of waiting for Joe Hendry after like him rightfully so getting a long queue of people, because believe it or not, for everybody watching, he is probably one of the biggest stars right now on TNA/NXT. For him to appreciate that, you know, you already know what you got to do. No word, no explanations are needed.
I didn't do that just because he's Joe Hendry. I would have done that for anyone else. Yeah,
exactly.
There's gonna be someone in the comments saying, yeah, he waited.
He just sucked up to Joe. Like, nah.
Not about that. Like I've said, I put my soul in my work at the moment, and
keep it up. That's what I'm gonna say. And for everybody watching, follow him on TikTok. I want to see him go live. I've been wanting to see him go live for a while, so let's make this happen. IRL physical therapy session live on TikTok. We need to make this happen. Moving into more of the rehab kind of stuff. So I'm 31 years old. I have cracked already in my body whenever I go to the gym, and like I'll be tired a lot of times. What are some things that you recommend to your clients that you recommend they do after receiving a treatment for you? What would you recommend that I would do? Like, let's say I'm done with the gym, I did legs, and now my legs freaking hurt. Like, what would be the best course of action I should do after receiving a treatment from you or any kind of licensed PT or rehab specialist?
Okay, let's give it a spin. Yeah. Okay, JLD. So what is the first thing that you do after you finish your workout?
Protein. And try to stretch as much as I can.
That's important. After that,
sit on the couch.
Sitting on the couch.
That's it.
Exactly, JLD. Sitting on the couch. No, my friend. After a workout, do a cool down. Yeah, do some cardio to cool down the body, because you warm things up. Those fibers got tighter. Give them the time to breathe. Give them the time to relax. Give them the time, to lengthen those fibers. First thing after a workout, do a cool down.
I feel like that should be I should know that already, because when I used to take kickboxing, the last thing that we would do always is stretch. It was always the number one thing before we would like go to the locker room and change and everything. So I should technically know that. And I'm assuming by fibers you mean the muscles, right? The muscle fiber tissue and all that. I've been taking supplements now, and like the pump has been wild, where I almost feel like my arms are going to explode. I guess the stretching will help. And the protein, of course, but yeah.
And other stuff that people don't consider, because even with the stretching, stretching is really good. It can help you, but there are other factors in there. Like, do you sleep enough?
Right. Yeah.
Because everybody talks about, training, rehabbing, but nobody's talking about recovery. And that's why if you look at my logo, it's Big John, recovery and rehab. My way of approaching things is, okay, let me teach you how to recover properly. Yeah. And if you learn how to recover properly, but you still got injured, that's when we move to the rehab side of things.
Right. Because then there's some kind of underlying thing going on. Got you. All right. And for anybody watching, I hope this helps. This is definitely going to help me. I mean, pretty standard, got to make sure I'm recovering a little bit. As somebody who tries to go to bed at 10:30, 11, but then end up on my phone till like midnight, I think I should cut that out in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty as charged for that.
I think everybody is at some point. Like, you're ready to go to bed, but you're like, let me check my Instagram real quick. And then 1 minute turns into like an hour and a half, and then it turns into, is that the sun? Yeah. And they're up at 6 a.m.
Up on your live streams, so it's your fault.
Listen, if you gotta leave the stream so you could go to bed, that is totally fine. Unless you're JB Wolf, then you better stay. But she knows what I'm talking about. But don't ever feel like you're obligated to be on there if you gotta go to bed. I know usually you're up to watch Raw and SmackDown and all that, but I care more about your well-being than you having to like add +1 to my viewer count. So I know you're also training. We're talking about you being a specialist to wrestlers, but I know you're also training yourself to get into the world of wrestling. How has that been going for you?
Yeah, it's funny because I've recently been in contact with a guy and he said, "Oh, I'm a wrestler. I got injuries, so now I got in sports rehab myself." So for me, it was the other way around. I've started
Yeah.
working in wrestling, and at one of the shows, one of the wrestlers, Lizzie, if you see this, shout out to
I
Lizzie
think I've
Evo.
seen. Yeah,
She's
yeah.
going in the industry here in over the UK, and she saw me and she was like, "Mate, you should give it a try." I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know." And she was like, "You see that guy over there? His name is Sam Bailey. He has a wrestling school in Manchester, Future Shock Wrestling, guys. Check it out.
Yes.
They have amazing shows in Manchester as well." Yeah, get his phone number, get his contact, speak with him, training, and that's how I started training.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. I've seen a few of your clips, and I tell this to all the wrestlers I've interviewed. I could not do what you guys do. As much of a wrestling fan as I am, I could not see myself trying to do like bumps and spots and flips and somersaults and stuff. I'll be tired. I'll be like broken after day one, I feel like. I mean, obviously you build yourself up to that. You're not going to be a professional wrestler in one day, but I feel like I just let you guys do that because y'all are the skilled ones. I'll just sit in the chair and be a fan. But I give y'all a lot of respect.
They always say that you'll never forget your first bump, and it's quite true. The amount of shock that your body takes, you're like,
like, wait a minute, this is gonna be my life now? This is gonna be the next few years of my life? Is this feeling?
Yeah, it's cool, it's fine, I'm fine. You know that meme with the dog, then all the house is burning. Like, I'm fine.
Actually, that's right here. Hold up. I have it on my work monitor.
Yeah, exactly. This is fine.
That's literally me as an IT guys. This is fine because everybody's complaining about everything. But for the wrestling part of it, I definitely can feel that. I would not be able to handle that. I'd be like tired after like 1 or 2 days. I don't think I'd have the dedication. But when people ask me though on TikTok live, because you're there all the time, who's your least favorite wrestler? The answer is always the same. I don't have any because I give them mad respect for everything they do. I could not do bumps like them. I could not do a moonsault over a steel cage onto somebody else. Yep. If you can do that, you earn my respect instantly. I don't care if you botched it by 2 inches. I don't care if you're Tongaloa. You got my respect, even though Tongaloa is my tribal chief still until Roman comes back. But yeah,
tribal chief Tongaloa.
I acknowledge him more than I do Solo. Keep doing your wrestling thing. But yeah, the places you're mentioning, Future Shock, Progress, I've heard of all of them. Again, the fact that you're getting into these things is really freaking cool. I think Pro Wrestling Noah is another one that is in England as well, right? I think they're in England.
Noah has been recently. Noah is a Japanese promotion.
Okay.
But they had a tour in UK in collaboration with Progress.
Got it. Okay. So as someone who's training in the ring, so we kind of mentioned the bumps, like you don't forget your first ever bump. What's one thing people don't realize goes into being a professional wrestler? Is there something they'd be shocked about if they trained for the first time? Maybe besides the bump.
That you really need to be a real athlete to do all that stuff. People don't realize how much of an athlete you need to be. Okay, now it's debatable because there are different type of wrestling that you can approach, and some of them might be a bit more high fly, some of them might be a bit more powerhouse type.
Right.
But still, you need strength, you need agility. It's something that people don't consider.
And I think also people don't realize that, yes, these wrestlers are doing all these crazy moves, but I think what separates the people that are okay at wrestling versus people who mastered their craft is how safe they could do it and how they can choreograph a whole match with a partner, whether the partner doesn't know really too much about wrestling or if they're a veteran just like them, and knowing just how to do it and making sure they both get home to their loved ones safe and sound, rather than just what the audience sees.
One of my mottos is, even if I might not become a big wrestler, if I don't know what one day I'm getting to wrestle a big name or a known name in the industry, and they say, "Oh, I'm cool working with that guy, he's a safe guy." For me, that's more than enough. And it's something that is very, very appreciated, especially in the scene. When you are known as a safe guy, you are definitely going to open a lot more doors, and people will be happy to work with you. And it's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, it makes people look forward to having a match with you because they know not only are they going to do it safe, but they're going to put on one hell of a match. They're going to make that crowd go wild. And when you have those two components together, you got one of the best co-workers out there, because essentially that's what all of these professional wrestlers are. They're co-workers to each other. It's like a job just like, a typical IT 9 to 5 like I do.
it takes two to tango.
Exactly. You've gotten the opportunity to travel a lot for this, which is really awesome. I will say though, Europe is a completely different place than the US. You can travel 2 hours and you'll be in a whole nother country.
Yep.
You drive 2 hours in New York, going up to New York State, you're still in New York. You travel another 6 hours. What happened?
I said you're in the next neighborhood if you drive 2 hours.
Exactly. You drive another 6 hours and you're at Niagara Falls, still in New York, not even on the Canada side. So it's wild how you go from that and then seeing how people travel from Europe, like maybe from UK to France or UK to, England to Scotland or Scotland to Wales, et cetera, et cetera. How does it feel to like be able to travel to all those places? And how does it feel to have clientele in all of those places? Does the traveling get to you? Is it like something you're used to now? Like, how do you manage all of that?
So currently the main travel that I do is between back home in Romania and the UK. It's a three and a half hour I was gonna say drive. It's a 3.5 hour flight.
Okay.
Yeah, and it can become tiring, but it's a blessing, and it's the fact that you know that you can travel in completely other country. Because I came from Romania. It's my home country, but I left it after uni, so I didn't actually get to create necessarily a name for myself there. It's amazing to know that you can travel there and still have patients, still have people that want your treatments and are happy and are willing to see you. It's definitely an amazing thing. This summer I've recently worked with one of my favorite hip hop singers from there, and
yes.
it's just all this social media thing. Once you have your own page, once you have a logo, people see you, people see your personality. They are more willing to work with you. They're more willing to be open to you, okay, like, who's this guy? Oh, okay, like I can see his socials. I can see he's putting in the hustle. He's posting quite regularly. Okay, so it must be something with him. And guys, you won't believe how much credibility having a social media page, an updated social media page, because there are some there that post once every 3 months, and
people will walk away from that because they're like, oh, he hasn't posted in 2 months. Are they still active? Like, I don't want to DM this and then like they don't have any updates. Even just posting a selfie of you is enough to be like, okay, this guy's doing this thing. Well established.
With my posting, I'm not always, because I don't always have that amazing video, that I took a video with this wrestler, and I don't really. But look around you. What are you doing in that day? For example, yesterday it was Monday, and I woke up in the morning. I had a full diary in the clinic, and I struggled a bit. I went through the day, but it was hard. It felt harder than usual. I've been through some stuff lately, and that paid a toll on my body, on my mental state. And I was through the end of the shift, and I was like, what was going on? Why do I feel like this? Something was strange. And then I realized, like, I'm tired, and I should feel free enough to say that I'm tired, and I should feel free enough to say I need a break. I need to drink a coffee. I need to take 5 minutes, let me go outside, grab a bit of sunshine, which is very rare in the UK, guys.
Always raining or cloudy.
That was my post for today. I was like, guys, today I had a bad day in the clinic, and I didn't feel well, but it's fine. It's fine to not feel well. And that was my post for today. Do content based on the things you're doing in your day-to-day life.
People don't realize, like, a lot of people think that, oh, people are going to Big John because he's just a physical therapist or rehab specialist and all that. They're going because of you. They go and you as your person. They want to feel connected to you in some way, shape, or form. For my brand, for example, I felt like in the beginning of my content creation journey, I was only just posting videos, but no one really knew about me. They just knew I'd made funny videos. I think one thing I can still develop and work on this more. I feel like I can definitely self-improve on this. Just showing people who I am. Because like they see these videos, I'm posting updates, reaction stuff, but who's this JLD guy? What does he do? And I think TikTok has kind of helped to allow people to know who I am through those chats and just not answering, oh, when's Jimmy Uso coming back? So I think people just need to know that, like, hey, if you're going to get into this, people are going for you, not just because of the content, not just because of the subject. And you mentioned, you have clientele over in Romania. You got to work with your favorite hip hop artist over there. Wait till you get into WWE, whether it's as a professional wrestler or whatever you're doing in the wrestling space. It's wild how they've never been to Romania except for one time. I didn't even know that they've been there even before in general. I just never thought they went. Imagine yourself going down that ramp and they say where you're from and that crowd going wild. Backlash has been going to some unique places. I could see them going further, whether they go to Romania or they go to anywhere else in Eastern Europe. They just went to Berlin, so that's kind of going into the Eastern Europe side. Yeah. Germany, because they have a lot of influence of Eastern Europe, Poland, and all those places. I could see that being a thing. So sky's the limit.
We have wrestlers that now Eastern European wrestlers, and I want to mention Marina Shafir in AEW, and now she's having an angle with Moxley, and she's not from Romania, she's from Moldova, but in the past these countries have been together, so we kind of consider them our brothers and sisters. Nice. And seeing her there and seeing her doing all these amazing stuff and being on AEW, which is one of the biggest companies in the world, it warms my heart, because everybody says, oh yeah, but you left the country. And guys, like, you don't leave a country because you want to. You don't leave your home because you want to. And like I said in the beginning, I did it because at that moment I couldn't do something more sports related in my country.
Mm-hmm. The demographic is just not there for that niche or subject, and that's okay.
And look at wrestling, like right now I think there are 2 wrestling schools around there, and one of them is like an extension of All Snow School or something like that. I'm not 100% sure what's going on there, but I would never be able to work with these guys that I've worked with if I was there. But seeing all these wrestlers, seeing Marina doing so well in AEW, it warms my heart. It makes me so happy. And guys, let's work together. Let's bring shows in Eastern Europe.
Absolutely. And that's what you call, everybody, representation. You've been seeing a lot, especially now that WWE's been going to all these global places. Like, we went to Elimination Chamber. You see Rhea Ripley represented. Fun fact, Nia Jax was born in Australia. She's like considered Hawaiian and Samoan, but she was born in Australia. Technically, that was kind of like her birthplace too when they had their match. They're rumoring Mexico for the next Backlash, which would be awesome to have Rey Mysterio there. They had France. They had Bash in Berlin with Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther. That representation is being shown. Backlash in Puerto Rico, Zelina Vega. So they're really trying to show off their superstars as global. It's going to happen. It's just a question of when. And with that being said, we have hit the halftime mark of this podcast. Once again, chat, we have JLD merch on sale now. Get your actually move the mic. OTC stuff. I don't know if you can hear me. The mic's all the way down there, but OTC t-shirts and Laying It Down podcast t-shirts now available at justlayingdown.com, where you can get all of your merchandise to support the JLD brand. And also head over to trophysmack.com/justlayingdown to get one of these belts just like this to represent. You can make it fully customizable for your fantasy sports leagues and everything in between. And make sure you use our link so that way you not only get the awesome stuff from their site as seen on Shark Tank, but you also help us out in the process. So without further ado, we are in the second half of the podcast. Let's talk about WWE, shall we? With WWE, obviously it's been a global company for a while now, ever since Triple H has taken over as head of creative. And I'm sure it's more than just Triple H. It's not like Triple H is calling the shots with the whole company. So got Nick Khan, we have all the other executives, so it's not a one-man thing. We just like to credit Triple H because he's the face of it.
He's the face. Like, he's going out in those conferences and gives those numbers.
The numbers, exactly.
It's understandable, but like I said earlier, the fact that he started to acknowledge some names out there, it's amazing.
Exactly. So what are your thoughts on the current WWE product today? Do you think there's any storylines right now that stick out to you? Anything about WWE? Doesn't have to be a storyline or a wrestler, but like anything that you think is very unique that they're doing recently that you specifically like? Tell us what you think about WWE right now.
What's going on right now in WWE is just might sound like it's incredible. It literally, if you take right now the product and you'll try to compare to what was, let's say 5-6 years ago, it's completely different. It's completely changed. They grow more and more and more, and they invest a lot more. And for me, okay, the storylines are nice, and I like the creative side of things and the stories, but the production is what amazes me at the moment. Like all those camera shots going with the wrestler from the parking lot.
Yes, the segments where they walk through Gorilla. Yeah, it's so freaking looking good. I'm the same way. I feel like with this new era, even before Triple H went to WrestleMania and said this is the Paul Levesque era or whatever, WWE has already made a shift after Vince McMahon and all his shit on down to just make an effort to acknowledge more than just like, oh, there's a championship match on pay-per-view or WWE. They're really trying to make this the social media place. And how do you do that? You change things up a bit. I think people are so used to what Vince did with the company that we didn't realize how big this company could actually be. We thought we hit the cap of what WWE is, and it's just always going to stay like that, and eventually people get tired of it. Triple H opened up a whole new ceiling of what can be done, and it works from a financial standpoint. They just merged with TKO, so they basically got the infinite money glitch at this point with whatever they could do. They can negotiate with higher salaries for their wrestlers, and it makes everybody win. The fans win, the wrestlers win when they get to put on a good match and show, and then they get to pay their houses and pay for their families and all that stuff, and the executives win with whatever shit boatload of money they got. But whatever, the product is just great right now, and I think regardless of what you think of Cody and Roman and their storylines and stuff, I think from within the business everybody is being happy. There's been thoughts of Triple H being more understanding of a lot of things that the wrestlers go through, giving them time off. If they're injured, don't make them go out again, especially after the whole CM Punk thing where he won the lawsuit against the doctor about the staph infection and all that. So it's nice to see that new management, and it goes to show with any job, it's like when you change management and they put a new spin on things, it really can affect like people's job retention, and it keeps job retention. It makes people want to do these multi-year deals. Sheamus, as of today, had announced he signed a multi-year deal with WWE. Drew McIntyre, he got a freaking sword from The Rock when he re-signed. Like, it's all these little things that make it like, wow, this is the place I want to work at, even though like people were scared of Vince.
I think the thing that helps in that changes, both Hunter and The Rock, they're one of the guys.
Yeah, they've been there.
They know what they like, they know what they didn't like, so they said, okay, we didn't like this when it happened to us, why we should let the ball roll and
keep it going, just change it
and saying things for the other. No, let's just do it right, let's make it right for them. And definitely the environment feels a lot healthier, I can say.
Agree. And I feel like even as a fan, you can notice that when you see these wrestlers' social medias, they seem happier. Obviously, you can't judge a book by like a social media post anymore, but like still, they seem like they actually enjoy their jobs now. The Becky Lynch biography, I don't know if you read it or heard about it or watched the A&E, because the A&E biography of it is basically the book summarized. Becky Lynch was scared as hell to tell Vince she was pregnant, when obviously like she told him and he was happy for her, but she was terrified she was going to get fired because Vince had a vision for her to win the women's title and do this and that could mess up storylines and stuff. So it's wild how now people don't feel like, oh, I'm scared to tell Hunter that I'm doing this and that, or hey, I want to work with this company. Like you saw Shinsuke and Io Sky going to Japan, AJ Styles, they're opening this forbidden door, just little cracks, but you see the impact of it.
And the fact that you know that the door is open, it's important to know that your manager or whoever is above you, you can always go through that door and be like, hey, I have this idea, or I have this problem, could you help me? Or put your mind, as an employee, put your mind at ease.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have to stress about that stuff, you can always focus more on your actual work.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's definitely, Hunter sees the benefits in what he's doing at the moment. Definitely, he knows how to handle stuff in the back a lot better than they used to.
And that goes to show that it's better to have people in charge that know the experience of the people down below than it is to just put a corporate suit and tie guy that knows numbers. Sure, you get great numbers, but at the cost of what? You mentioned The Rock too. They've both been like working together for decades, since like the 90s and 80s, even earlier than that. Shawn Michaels, fantastic job in NXT. The fact that you can get your coworker into it as the head of NXT and you see how it's evolved is insane. So like big props to Shawn for doing great. I don't really watch NXT as much as I should, but the times I have, it's a great production. It's really good.
Take a second here and think about it. As a wrestling fan, early 2000s, would you ever think that DX is going to run the show?
Hell no. I thought it would just be the fan. I thought Shane and Stephanie would take over whenever Vince decided that it was his time to stop working with WWE. And I don't think Vince would have left WWE until he, like, you know, whenever that time like comes, you know, that he's no longer with us. I thought that would be when he's leaving WWE. But the fact, I mean, obviously that's a whole nother story how he got pushed out. I'm not going to speak on it here, but I would have never thought Triple H and Shawn would be the ones running the creative process of WWE today. But I can't think of anybody else that would actually work out better than them two. They've been the people that creative has talked to put on a show and do things. Now they have that creative idea. Obviously, it's not a one-man person show where he's just thinking of everything. He has his team, but that goes to show also his team's probably happy with Triple H and what he's been doing in the corporate office setting. They don't feel intimidated by him. Yeah, it's probably easy to see like the cerebral assassin and he's like all this big tough guy. And I'm sure he is. But at the same time, he's probably a nice ass dude in person when you're a coworker of his and you're brainstorming on what Cody Rhodes is going to do at WrestleMania 45 or whatever. Nice to see that shakeup of management. And that's not to discredit anything Vince has done, because from a business perspective of WWE and its production, obviously Vince McMahon made the whole thing. So we can't just say, oh, whatever he did was bad in the wrestling business. Obviously, there's some sketchy storylines there, but yeah.
No, something that I've learned since I've started Big John Rehab is, you know, when you're sitting with someone and you're having a business talk, separate the business talk from the person.
Right.
You know, when you're in a room, you're on a table, you're discussing something business related, that's business. Though there is where the numbers matter, because you talked about numbers earlier.
Yeah.
So we cannot go away totally from the numbers, because numbers are important. That's what keeps the show running. That's what keeps the athletes paid. Yeah, so they're important. But once you go out that door, that's separate. That's the person that.
So how is it watching Raw and SmackDown for you in a different time zone? Do they actually air it live on TV at 10 o'clock British time, or do they wait till the next day, or like or do you just like watch it via VPN or something? How does that work for you?
No, so for me, they actually run it live 1 a.m.
Oh, so even later than like it like already done.
It starts at 1 a.m. and usually for Raw, when it was, because now Raw is transitioning to 2 hours.
Right.
When Raw was 3 hours, if you want to watch the whole show, you should stay till 4 a.m.
Ooh, damn.
SmackDown, it's a bit easier. If you're not working on Saturday, you can afford, you know, to watch till, you can afford to stay till 3 a.m. You know, let's say, yeah, I can watch the show. But with Raw on a Monday, not so much.
That's the reason I don't react to Raw. I only react to SmackDown because of that reason. I only work Monday to Friday, so Saturdays are easy. And by the time it's 10 o'clock my time, I'm already tired and I still got 1 hour left of Raw. Yeah. I would not be able to give you an authentic reaction because I'll be like, can this be over already? So that's why I like to watch on TV.
8, 9 a.m., fall asleep at 4, wake up at 6 and go to job. Nah, hell no.
So then I can only imagine when they come to like these places in Europe, you're actually really happy because then you can actually watch at a reasonable time.
Even going to Australia, like people had breakfast on watching Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I know. Like for when I actually enjoy more when they're in Europe, because when it's in Europe, they start our time live at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 2. So I can watch that for 2 to 3 hours and then dinner time, and then I can still enjoy the night and just do whatever I gotta do. So I actually enjoy more when it's in Europe versus like in the nighttime here. And it's like, I think even does it for Saudi Arabia too, like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or whatever. With Australia, I actually got up at 4 in the morning for that. I watched it till, what was it, till like 6 or 7?
Of staying that early.
Yeah, basically. Everybody was complaining, but then it's like, bro, Australia deals with the same shit. The UK and France and all these places deal with the same stuff. I think the US will be all right. I think we're just spoiled because it's a US company. But it was an interesting thing to do. I told Mrs. JLD, you don't have to get up for it. I'll tell you, like, you can watch the results out. She's like, nope, I'm watching it with you. And we ended up watching it till like what, 4 till like 6, 7 in the morning. And then I forgot if we went to bed or if we just like stood up the whole day. Or I think we just went to bed earlier that night. I think that's what we did.
See, that's really important to have a partner that supports you and is behind you and pushes you. It's definitely a game changer, because sometimes you can be the most dedicated person and I want to do this, I really want this, and I want to put in the hustle, but you're gonna have those bad days. You're gonna have those days when you feel like, oh, this feels dreadful, this feels horrendous, and that's when your partner comes in and is like, you know, you can do this. Like, okay, take a break, you know, but you can do this, you know. pushes you a bit.
Agreed.
And the support that Mrs. JLD gives you, it's amazing. And I cannot thank my partner enough for the support that she gave. All those late nights that I've been at wrestling shows, working, and she fell asleep alone. And it's
like, obviously there's people out there that'll like be there 24/7, but dedication that they have to like the content creators is so awesome, because they see that you're doing your thing, they see that you're a hard worker. And also, I'd rather be doing this than being out on the street. Like, would you rather be on the street and then be with your partner 24/7, or sacrifice a day or two to actually do something that is gonna actually benefit the two of you? You're set up for success later on down the line. So shout out to your fiance, and also shout out to Mrs. JLD if she ever decides to watch this, because she's been trying to say she'll be watching all these YouTube videos to help her partner, and then she hasn't watched them yet. But it's all right. Big support system. I mentioned it in my YouTube video on how to make content creation. Your support system is a big factor on anything you do, whether it's your family, your significant other, siblings, or whatever. All of that helps. If you have a support system that is not really a support system and they're just talking shit, it's not going to make you feel good. But
it's going to push you. It's going to put you down. And
it's not going to make you want to continue. But when you have a support system that believes in you, like people believe in Joe Hendry, that's what's going to kick you and kickstart your career. For anybody watching, watch that YouTube video. You're going to love it. So with WWE, we saw on Friday Night SmackDown the unusual alliance of Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, which is now confirmed for Bad Blood, as they take on the fake tribal chief and the future tribal chief Jacob Fatu. What do you think of this unusual tag team? Do you think it's going to be an awesome thing to see them together, or do you think that this is complete BS and you're wondering why they even did this in the first place?
That's a tough question, JLD. That's a tough question. That's because as much as I love Roman, as much as I love Cody, them both tag teaming, that means that they are going to main event the show.
Of course.
That doesn't sit right with me. That's supposed to be Drew's and CM Punk main event.
Fair enough. Yeah, because I am looking forward to that Hell in a Cell.
Have you seen CM Punk's last promo?
Everybody's been telling me. I did not get to see it. I turned on the TV at like 8:15 and he was already off. So I need to watch this now.
That intensity and that's what that's what's amazing about the wrestling world, is because people think, oh, it's just about jumping around in the ring. No, like
it's
even
the
us
storylines, man.
Class, and it's not just about being athletic. It's about putting your mind into your promos. And what Punk did with that promo was looking straight into the camera and make you feel that
you're the one that's angry. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. About the tag team, I'm interested. I want to see what they can do with it, but I really don't want them to main event. I'm sorry. I love you, Roman. I acknowledge you as my tribal chief.
You heard that? You heard that, Roman? You heard what he said?
Yeah, but I really want Drew and CM Punk to main event Bad Blood.
That match is going to be wild. The Hell in a Cell. I don't know. I doubt AJ Lee's making an appearance, but something has to give with that wristband, or like just the vengeance of it all. I wonder if this is finally the end, if Drew's gonna like move on to better things, or is Drew gonna just like go back and attack him again if he loses, or whatever they decide to do.
I think we might have had a bit of a hint there. I think it's something going on with Wade Barrett.
Oh yes, with Drew McIntyre. And we could see Wade Barrett get in there and do something. Maybe he's medically cleared and we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. We'll never know.
That could be Survivor Series, if anything, if they don't end up on like the Survivor Series team.
Can you imagine how much of a babyface he's gonna be if he comes back?
With the bad news thing, forget about it. He's
not doing the bad news thing.
He could twist it as a babyface. Like he could tell Drew, I got some bad news. Like not as a heel. He could pull it off. And then like once he says, I'm afraid I've got some bad news, that crowd will go wild. And then just attack Drew. I could see that. And then Punk eventually go for that world heavyweight title shot. I could see him going against Gunther down the line and trying. I don't know if he's going to win, but that's just something that's interesting to see.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation because obviously with John Cena's retirement announcement, everybody's hinting on, oh, we should have Punk and Cena again. So Cena is going for Ric Flair's record. CM Punk could go for that World Heavyweight Championship.
That would take a while I don't think Punk would ever break it, but I could see what you're saying with like, Punk win the belt and then Cena go after Cena. We'll have to find out. I guess I'm seeing that live in Vegas. That would be freaking wild. Do you think Rhea Ripley and Jey Uso, let me ask the question, then I'll kind of mention something funny I just saw. Do you think Rhea Ripley and Jey Uso will end up in the Waffle House together? If you know what Waffle House is, though.
Is that a US thing?
Yeah, it is a US thing. So
okay, give me a bit of a...
All right, so... All right, so Waffle House is just a restaurant that sells breakfast. It's like
Okay.
like a IHOP, a Denny's, like that. It's basically that. But it's known for as a place more down the south that is run.
Do they have bacon buddies?
Huh?
Do they have bacon buddies?
Probably not. Probably not, especially not with that brown sauce. It's known because a lot of people say that at late at night people go there after parties, and at the same time it's known for their fights. Apparently a lot of people go there, and like some usually fights end up happening there, just like the place you don't want to be. There was a promo with Jey Uso where he said, "Oh, I'm gonna take Rhea Ripley to Waffle House." So now that's been the thing. Like, "Oh, I'm gonna take her to Waffle House." And that would be like their first date together. You've been seeing Rhea Ripley happy as hell. Like, she smiling, like cheesing as soon as she saw Jay yesterday on Raw.
I think it might be a eat over there.
There you go. There you go. Like, they have each other's number. They were dreaming about each other, like on IG story on the plane. Like, yo. The reason I bring that up is because I would comment on Instagram posts now with that and be like, Rikishi's punching the air right now. He's pretty upset about this whole storyline with Rhea and Jay. Like, why are they not using him as a real competitor? Why are they doing this love story? They're gonna mess up his marriage and all that. There's a post now from this morning. Wait, right? This morning? Yeah, this morning, of just question marks from his Twitter posts. So I'm wondering if that has to do with Jay and Rhea. Like, maybe something was posted or something. He's just like, what? Like, he's trying to be the protective dad.
Yeah, like in this situation, it's strange because you have all these people talking from the outside, but we never get Jay's opinion on it. So
I'm sure he's cool with it. I'm sure they're both married. I'm sure they're all both cool with it. So I got 2 questions left before we call it podcast episode. Again, Big John, thank you for being on. You've been awesome to chat with. It's been really awesome, especially with the wrestling figures in the back there. That's been freaking cool. Obviously, we see a lot of positive things going on social media with wrestling and all that stuff. But one thing that some people are so butthurt about is the tribalism between WWE and AEW. You see all the time AEW, their seats are empty and all that. What are your thoughts on the toxicity going on with AEW and WWE? And I don't mean it like WWE and AEW actually fighting. What do you think about these stupid fans that are just like constantly calling that out? Like, so annoying.
My view on it is, how should I put it? Realize that these wrestlers, they're friends in real life.
Exactly. Yes.
Mercedes Moné and
Bailey,
they go to each other's events. They go and celebrate each other's victories. Realize that competition is healthy.
Absolutely. That's the reason why I think WWE is doing great, because they know AEW's there.
Exactly. I feel like if AEW wasn't there, WWE would have been more lazy.
They would have been more comfortable with what they're doing. But now that AEW is there and there's options for wrestlers to go to with money involved, now they're going to be like, all right, we got to put on the good show. We got to put on the good show. Like, Okada's getting like X million yen a year. Like, we need to make sure like we get somebody else, and they've been successful. They've got Julia, they've got Stephanie Vakir. They're doing what they got to do. They got Joe Hendry with this TNA relationship. So they know what they're doing. I think competition, I love how everybody says that competition's healthy. You need that.
And for the fans, just guys, chill. It's wrestling.
Everybody's having fun doing it.
It's just wrestling. It's not a life of that or death matter, it's just wrestling.
And like, people say all empty wrestling and all that. The wrestlers don't care. They're getting paid no matter what, whether it's a full size crowd or like 10 people in front. Now they'll try to be like, oh, but from a business perspective, it's giving them a net loss. You're not a business analyst. You're just a fan on freaking Instagram wanting to talk your shit. Everybody's a critic until they're actually in that role. That's the wild part. And I like to say AEW and WWE don't go to the same arenas. There's a reason for that. I think there's legal obligations of, like, let's say Madison Square Garden, Barclays Center, where WWE goes to. I don't think AEW can legally go there. It's not because they can't afford it. They just can't. They have to sign stuff, and the stadiums are usually okay with that normally. That's why AEW goes to Grand Slam in Queens, which is actually close to me. It's really cool that it's close. When AEW goes around the US, they're usually going to towns where either they only know WWE or not everybody in there watches wrestling. So like, the people that watch wrestling is great, but usually those small towns have a small population. It's not New York where it's millions of people and then you're gonna get 20,000 people. Exactly. The fact that people are talking this shit like, oh, they can't fill a crowd. There's not enough people in the town to even fill up. So like, what's the problem? Like, Like, what do you expect everybody to fly into like the Little Rock, Arkansas show? Like, no, it's not gonna happen. So
that's a fair point. And like you've said, the wrestlers get paid in the end of the day. If the business is in financial trouble, is not your damn business. You are a fan. You should enjoy the show that they put on for you.
yeah,
Everything that happens in the back there is not your damn problem.
exactly. And they try to act like they're the staff and that they're what their one comment says is gonna get Tony Khan's feedback, and Tony Khan's gonna change the business because of their one comment. Like, no, it's not. He's gonna keep doing what he's doing. He got the infinite money glitch already because of his dad and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, and the soccer club that he has. So whatever you say is not going to change his mind. Tony Khan, yes.
Thing, if you look at all these rich guys, one of the things that they don't like is to be told, oh, you can't do this.
They'll do it.
Because
they'll do it just because you said you can't.
Exactly that thing.
Bro, have you seen the Miz documentary? The A&E one?
No, I haven't
You
seen
should.
it yet.
That is one of the biggest inspirational stories with the Miz. This man was told day in and day out his whole life, you sound crazy. You can't do this. Why are you here? This man is living the life now. He got Maurice as his wife. He got 2 daughters with her. This man is being looked up to now, when 20 years ago, this man was looked at as a joke because he was a reality TV star. If that documentary doesn't inspire people, then I don't know what will. But basically, he was told that his whole life, and he made it his mission to prove them wrong. And to this day, he has proved them all wrong. 2 WWE title reigns, many Intercontinental title reigns, main evented WrestleMania against John Cena and won.
Mark my words, WWE Hall of Fame.
Yes, absolutely. 1000%. Remember, there was one part of it that I remember, the Talking Smack segment with Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
That was from the heart. That was legit from the heart. And that goes to show his passion for the business. He may not have known too much about it in the beginning, but he learned quick, and he became the star he is. Well earned, not through just being a social media megastar or whatever, actually putting his work. I would definitely recommend watching it. So we are at the final question. The last question technically was going to be, what do you have to say to those who say wrestling is fake? But we actually answered that in the beginning of the podcast. So the real final question is really more about Raw and their move to Netflix. So $5 billion, that's a lot of money. That's Netflix paying them. I want to make that clear to everybody. Netflix paid WWE $5 billion with a B, not M, $1 billion for one of their 2 shows, 3 shows actually, to go to Netflix. Do you think the product is going to change after the move? Do you like, we all know they think is going to be like, oh, fuck you this, fuck you that, but what do you genuinely see the product doing with Monday Night Raw when they go to Netflix?
I don't think it's going to be about swearing. I don't think, like, okay, maybe they're going to drop an F-bomb somewhere.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. They're kind of in that direction with the Vox promos, and
yeah,
he's been going wild lately, you know. I think this deal is more about exposure, because like you said in the beginning,
yes, I agree with that.
Wrestling right now is a hot pot, and everybody wants to see, everybody wants to see more. Everybody's drawn to it. It's one of the best, if not maybe the best period for wrestling in history.
I agree.
So for Netflix to jump into that deal, and trust me, there's some of the smartest heads in the world, and if they decided to invest $5 billion in that product,
that's not given to no random person. That's hard work and decades of work. That's not even a year of work. That's decades of work.
Exactly.
They believe it. They saw the numbers and they were like, "Yup, we want you here."
And so it's definitely about the exposure. It's the exposure that Netflix gets with the wrestling fans that come in, but it's also the exposure that WWE gets, you know, being on just Netflix.
Just in general, Netflix. Yeah. How many subscribers are there on Netflix every month? Billions. It has to be.
And think about it. It's a product that basically never finishes.
Yeah. It's a never finishing
with Netflix in the past, because even for me, like when I started watching wrestling again, it was because I've watched everything on Netflix already.
Yeah.
So that's why I transitioned to WWE. So now you bring in a product.
There's no series finale. There's season finales, WrestleMania, but there's no like ending. There's no like, oh, Cody Rhodes finished the story and now wrestling's done. Like WWE shuts down. Like there's none of that. It's not a Stranger Things. It's not a 13 Reasons Why, where like after a while they're just done. Like this continues on and on and on and on. The amount of subscribers and how mainstream Netflix is, people are going to be interested in seeing, even if it's just for one night, Monday Night Raw. And I believe they're doing ads now. They're going to do ads for Netflix. So like there's still commercials anyway, which people are used to no matter what.
Well, I'm not a fan of that, but it is what it is. You got to pay the check.
But
they just invested $5 billion, so
Yeah, they're gonna get more than that. They're making way more than 5 billion on the amount of Netflix subscribers globally. It's not even just like US, that's Europe, Australia, Asia, Africa, everywhere, man.
For me, the best thing is that I'm gonna drop a subscription.
I don't even
So I'm
have
gonna
a
have
Netflix
everything in
subscription.
under one subscription, which I'm happy about.
I don't even have a Netflix subscription though. Mrs. JLD does, but that's like the one with two devices where one's on the
Yeah.
TV and one's on her phone. If I wanted to react to Netflix's Raw, I gotta buy my own so I can like put it on the computer. And even then, another thing is like we all know a lot of wrestling creators that react to it. I'm one of them, of course. Is Netflix gonna allow that? Obviously, WWE does.
That's a good ad.
Is Netflix gonna allow that with copyright stuff? AEW strikes down very quickly on people who react to stuff like All In and Dynamite and Rampage and all that. Is Netflix gonna allow people to react to Raw, or are they gonna take it down? I think at least there should be some kind of guidance on that for creators before the move to Netflix, because I could see people getting banned right away for reacting to, like, let's say maybe The Rock comes out on the first Raw on Netflix or something, and great reaction, but get shut down or demonetized, which is another sucky thing about it, is that like, will you get demonetized off of that content?
I think if they're smart enough, they'll allow the content creators, because
They
now even social media it's like you said, WWE is transitioning to social media, so they understand the part that the social media has. We've seen so many wrestling content creators doing really well. You have Santi's situation when he's afraid of doing reactions to AEW because his channel is gonna be closed, and it happened to him, and that's not a good thing. You lose exposure, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And you have one of your biggest, content creators there being upset with you, which again, that's gonna influence some people as well.
When the big dogs are the ones complaining, that's when they're gonna listen, because they have a following behind them, and if it only takes them to say through them once, and the masses will listen.
Exactly.
It's wild how social engineering works. Not even social media, social engineering works, where one person can literally influence everything. Keith Lee's an example with the food. Literally, this guy could say, oh, this hot dog and cheeseburger are trash, and everybody will start sending hate to that freaking restaurant. But the moment somebody's bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll is delicious, can line out the door. I think businesses are catching on to the fact that social media has made people such a big following that they need to listen to their fans, because if not, they're going to be the ones that determine whether or not they get nice paychecks, because we're the ones paying for these things.
There's going to be the conversation of where do you draw the line as well.
Of course.
But I think that's a conversation for another time.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, influencers make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, executives make much more than that. They're the ones carrying all the money. They're the CEOs. They're the board of directors. They're the ones that control the decisions. And they're not going to be like, oh, so-and-so said this, so we got to do it. Like, no, they don't care. They'll actually be more than willing to take a loss just so like the other side can make more money. That's how it works. Yeah. I'm excited for Netflix. I know you are. It's going to be a really interesting time. And I hope my cable company says, oh, we'll give you a free Netflix subscription, because they've been reaching out to me about other places like Paramount and AMC Plus and all that, and HBO Max for my phone. It would be nice if they said, oh, free Netflix on us. That'll be the best thing ever.
Even if it's going to be like a couple of months.
Or the ad version. I don't care. Give me the ad version. I could watch Raw finally. But anyway, guys, Big John, again, thank you for being on today's episode. You have been a freaking pleasure to talk to. Very nice to get to know you a little bit more on a one-to-one basis, as well as get your insight on so many freaking things from your career to wrestling, etc. Do you have any final words for the podcast before we shut it down?
So guys, again, please make sure you check out my socials, Big John Rehab, everywhere, TikTok, Instagram, and also don't forget to go and check Hot Tech Foundation. Like I've said in the beginning, I'm an official supporter right now. The QR is going to be somewhere on the screen. Yeah, check that out. They recently announced that, because basically what happens, they don't actually get cash, donations, but you can give them gift cards, for example. Okay. So to make the process a bit easier. So check them out, give them a follow, and thank you so much, JLD, for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been a while since we wanted to make this happen.
Absolutely.
So
we make things happen.
I'm glad we did it.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching, if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. That way you get some of the best wrestling content out there and see more episodes just like this. I will see you guys on the next video. Peace out, everybody.